Space within Queen Victoria Market. The Queen Victoria Market is Victoria's most visited tourist attraction, drawing in almost 10 million visitors a year. It has operated in the city's north for the last 140 years and has grown to become an iconic part of Melbourne's identity and culture. The market occupies 2 city blocks, or approximately 8 hectares of land. The market is more than just a place to buy food to many of its visitors and regular shoppers. Not only is it somewhere where they can acquire goods such as meats, seafood, fresh fruit and vegetables and souvenirs, but QVM has a social aspect, perhaps stemming from the fact that many of the market stores are long-running family businesses. Though Queen Victoria Market still remains a popular destination for tourists and locals, a lot has changed in the markets around since it first opened in 1878. Extensive residential development has occurred in City North in the last decade, and many large employment hubs such as RMIT, Melbourne University and the hospital precinct reside a small distance away from the market. Context. We decided to conduct a study across 5 days throughout 3 active sites in QVM in order to determine who was coming to Queen Victoria Market. Also, with the expected doubling of Melbourne's population by 2050, it is important to understand how many people are currently using the space and what can be done to make their experience better. We found that the most vulnerable members of our community, such as children and the elderly, were the least represented at the market. Getting to QVM. We noticed in our observations that the Peel Street tram stop was far less active than the one which resided on Elizabeth Street. Our observation of Peel Street was that it had an unsafe feeling compared to the stop on Elizabeth Street due to its narrowness and close proximity to fast-moving traffic. It felt as though pedestrians were an afterthought in this area, and we felt that they should be a priority. Spaces and life in QVM. There are many different types of spaces where people tend to congregate in QVM. On the weekdays, the highest density of people tends to occur at the entry points from Elizabeth Street into the Deli Hall. Many pedestrians currently share a portion of Queen Street with cars so that they may cross from the fruit and veg to the souvenir market. On Wednesday nights, however, this section is closed off to car access, transforming the space into a highly used area for socialisation and resting. There are a number of seating areas in the market, however most are tucked away from the market atmosphere. The most exciting spaces in the market are not simply seating areas. They have been activated with some sort of activity such as buskers, so people are more inclined to want to stay in these areas. We noticed that most of the current rest stops that are utilised are already bordering the crossover on Queen Street. We also analysed the pathways of QVM and how people move between the spaces. We discovered the intensity at which people appear in spaces such as Queen Street crossover, as well as the personal space people need in order to navigate themselves around the market. Our analysis of the precedent site, State Library, revealed to us that rest stops can appear in many forms. Here, people have utilised the gentle slope of the grass frontage as a resting spot. The space works with what it already has to achieve even more functions than simply a library. Proposal. Our project name, SPACE, stands for Safety, Pedestrians, Accessibility, Connectivity and Enjoyment. These are the key areas we hope to address through our proposal. Ultimately, we are aiming to make Queen Victoria Market more pedestrianised, safer and more accessible to everybody. Firstly, we wish to block off car access on a permanent basis to Queen Street, making this a public space. We analysed how we can make this space comfortable socially, publicly and personally in order to ensure this space could function effectively as a public space. Secondly, we wish to make a portion of the market parallel to Peel Street tram stop into a plaza, in order to promote a safer atmosphere for market goers by making this space less car-centric. We have set out to achieve this by changing the texture of the road to a brick surface at the pedestrian crossing to better alert drivers to the presence of pedestrians, as well as making this area of the street feel more activated by providing seating areas and a small, fence-enclosed play area for children. Queen Victoria Market. Safe, pedestrian-friendly, accessible, connected, enjoyable.